Blanket Metalwork, October 22nd, 2021. The objective of the test is to chop the 2x4 under 20 chop and with a straight razor edge bevel, meaning around 7.5 degrees per side. And after chop, and it's still able to slice printer paper, but I will test again phone book paper. And as far as, I have tested W2 65 Rockwell and CBM 154 63.5 Rockwell, the edge roll, and here the CBM 154, and it's the edge is roll with mango up. And so they no longer slide from book paper. Anyway, so I did not test the MagnaCut 64 Rockwell or the 4V 66 Rockwell because when you get, we have the same result as I expect. The M398 65 Rockwell, it did chop to the 2x4, and the edge roll, and then when beyond the roll, when they roll too far, then it would chip out. But it barely able to cut the phone book paper afterward. So the sequence, in terms of my research, is pretty much to produce very high Rockwell. In this case, reflecting some strength, and also very fine, super fine microstructure, even though for the very high alloy steel like M398. However, I think in the last few experiment I did, I got to the point where I got diminishing in terms of the result. So I already gained about, say, 90% of what needs to be gained at that point. So now, if I do more extensive sequence, what I'm going to gain is even finer microstructure. But however, it will give up the resistance in terms of for the deflection. Because again, that's what it is. Even though the displacement, when the Rockwell indenter pushing it, it will resist that. But however, it doesn't resist the deflection. So in other words, when the edge, so it will gain, so the impact load, but however, the deflection is the one that damages when it deflects, and then as it push further in, it bend more. See? Now you can see it deflect, bend more. And then of course, you can only bend a certain amount, and then you go plasticity range, and after that, it's fracture. So I don't, for this point, my research, I feel that it won't translate into in the edge tool. It will, beneficial for something else. But however, I would test out like MagnaCut or 4V at the, at still very thin chopper geometry, say at 12 degrees or 15 degrees per side. Chopper usually work well about 20 degrees per side because you want minimize the steering because the penetration is deep, and also you want rebounds. You want it the edge go down, but you can actually withdraw instead of bind into the wood. So I say my last, I think now in terms of the highest steel, would have steel with the highest alloy in this case is the S125V 67 Rockwell, and this thing is weigh about 1.5 pounds. The edge, if you can see, it's shiny because actually it have a high finish on it. It's a finish of 1200 grit Waterstone on the edge probe, and after that I struck with the quarter micron diamond wood on leather. So basically try to I put all the effort in here, try to make it look like a razor instead of really a true V. Now because it's dropped at the same angle, therefore the apex is going to be a slightly convex. So almost like when you're shaving, and that when you want it to push the hair away instead of dive into your skin. All right. So anyway, so now I'm going to make the attempt. The edge happened too sharp. I'll put it that way. Here, this phone book paper thin. I mean, this yellow, but the same thing as white. I mean, yeah, white page anyway. I can actually push cut phone book paper. In other words, too sharp for this, but however, I would try. And so, it's also about chopping 2x4 is must avoid cracking, so that you want, I mean, and to be fair, right? You want to be, after I chop, I still, instead of cracking it and the wood get away, then so you minimize the number of chop. But in this case, I try to make it under 20 chop. Anyway, here you go. I would try to, of course, avoid the cracking this piece off either, too. So. Okay, so that was a 26 chop. I didn't use, probably not a good technique. We see this, how this edge hold, even though I take a little bit more chop. In other words, passing means that I can slice it slowly without tearing. Well, that is outside of the chopping is here. So in other words, through the chopping area, we pass the test. But let's do the second. Now that 20. Try to make it 20. All right. Oh, the wind. The wind for the paper. But anyway, went past the chopping point, and you can actually see the edge itself right there. Then compared to, say, the CBM 154. You see that the CBM 154 rippling everywhere, and you can see the. Hopefully, you can see it though. Anyway, I'm going to take a close-up. Here's the edge after chop through the 2x4 twice. So the 45 chop total. The edge geometry here, as you can see, very thin. Here, the shiny part, these are roll. In other words, it's a plastic deformation. Well, it's more deflection than anyway, so there are little roll here. But these are, and if you push the roll beyond, to the plasticity range, then you go with fracture. And these are the two fairly, the worst fracture on the whole edge right here. And versus the scale, here the 0.5 millimeter at this bar right here. So that's why this edge, this is very, we call microchip. So if at this point you call that, because again, if it was chip without any sort of plastic deformation, then yeah, that's just brittle chipping. But when you chip after the plastic deformation, well, they get fractured. So it's not technicality, but that's what you call it usually. If you have glass edge and you hit it, then it gets chipped right away. But this here, it started out as a plastic deformation, and then you actually then fracture. Thanks for watching.